Good evening, everyone. Hope you are doing well. We made it to another live stream of Magical Coffee Hour. Coffee in hand, of course. Bring that over here. I'm going to need that. Hope you all are doing well. Uh, Loveless, thank you very much for subscribing to Tier 1. Good to see that. Thank you. Anthony, welcome. Violet Star, good to see you again. Argo, welcome. Jade, glad you can make it. Maria, hello. And Dragon of the West, good to see you as well. So it has been a busy, crazy week here. We've been shooting videos and trying to get ahead. Um, the warm weather has definitely hit, so we've been trying to struggle with that. Um, Many of you know we passed the solstice, so summer court is over if you're into the Fae, and then we're moving into the winter court. Um, Days of the year, long as they get, slowly start growing shorter. So between the heat and everything, currently I do not have the video light on over here, and I am only using an overhead light. Hopefully that'll be enough, and the sun don't just jump behind something on me. Um, Trying to balance out the heat a little bit. You know how that goes, I'm sure. Uh, Got some pretty cool announcements that we do need to get through this today, though. Let's see, we got a few people who joined. Can you talk to deity for people or dragon? You want to know if I can speak with a deity for you or a dragon? Um, Technically, I can. It's not something I like to do. I prefer to actually teach a person to do for themselves, not to rely on another. Um, and it's not that difficult. We actually have the videos here on the channel to help you with that one. Uh, let's see. Abnormal, draconian. What's up, man? Do you do one-on-one lessons? I hit a brick wall. Been trying to do occult things for 2 years with no success. Abnormal. We are working on and attempting to get one-on-one lessons or consultations as something we can offer up again. We're working on that at this time. I do not. But we are working on trying to get it up again. So stay tuned for that. We are hoping. Which actually does bring us into our announcements. We are going to start doing group workshops that are live, where you can work with me live on a specific topic, and there'll be a Q&A where I can take your questions. And our first workshop is July 1st, which is next Friday, I believe. It's going to be on keeping a magical research journal, how to do your magical research, how to keep the notes, how to set all that up, how to find sources, which is literally foundational to an occult practice. We do have a few seats still available, so if you are interested in that, be sure to head over to workingdragonmystic.com and sign up. This first one, it's going to be at a slight discount because it's the first one. We're going to have to work out some bugs. But these workshops are going to be what helps us figure out how to do other things like the live the one-on-ones and stuff like that as well. Which, speaking of the workshops, really awesome news. Our own very own Jade, who she helps moderate the Gilded community. If you're in our Gilded community, you've seen her hanging around there, and I know you've seen her here in the live chats. She is going to be offering some workshops too. The first one she is working to get ready is a crystal workshop on crystals and crystal magic and their uses. She's also hoping to get a herbs, modern potion making, and spellcraft with arts and crafts, all of which I think are fantastic ideals. And I really think she's the better one to approach crystals. Many of you know I've used crystals in the past. They're my favorite tool today. She still absolutely has she adores crystals still, so I think she would present it far better. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. All right, let's see what we got here. We may actually have the Patreon problems worked out to some extent. So yay if you're on Patreon. We are getting ready to come up onto the monthly spell working for Tier 2 and Tier 3 channel membership supporters. So if you do have a custom request or something in your life you want me to attempt to focus it on, private message me on Gilded or email, or on the platform in which you're on. You can. There's always a post in the YouTube community as well as Patreon. Super chats. If you have a question and I miss it, super chats will flash it up, make sure I see it, or if you just want to donate and help us out. Other than that, hit the like button. Make sure YouTube knows you actually like the work we're doing, because the thumbs up is the really greatest thing you can do to help this content and help YouTube show it to more people to reach more seekers out there. And we have 18 people and 6 thumbs up. So if you're here, smash that thumbs up button. Now, with all that rambling, I think I might have missed a few things here. Let's see what we got. Lord Aldous, hey, good to see you. Nero, good to see you again. What things will be discussed in the Working Dragon Mystic Journal Keeping? We are actually going to discuss things like methods to actually set up the journal and organize the notes while you're doing your research, how often you should revisit your notes, the type of information you may wish to consider putting in there for tracking successes and manifestations. We're also going to be talking about the differences between philosophies and sciences and why they're so very important to occult studies, and how they are so drastically misused by the occult community, which also misleads the occult community. So we're going to be covering a lot in there. It's going to be about an hour-long workshop with then a follow-up Q&A after it. See, do I have any spells for bad neighbor unknown? Stop leaving poop near my home. I sprinkled black salt, a few goodies in it, but beyond that, I don't know. Violet Star, there is actually one. I know I've mentioned it in the live streams before. It's essentially a bone spell for bandaging. I've actually taken the time to record it, and I think it's next month or the following month that should be coming up on YouTube. We actually did a video on it. But the simplicity of it is the ideal. You get the bone, and you actually would. You're going to have to find a way to embody the problem, and not knowing the exact neighbor's a problem. So you would essentially have to create a sigil or phrase to make a sigil of, in which you embody the problem. In this case, the person leaving poop, and you focus all that onto the banishment and ridding yourself of that problem, and then you would smash, break, or chop the bone. That's a fairly good one. You could also just get a candle and do a simple banishing and try that. I'll be honest, I found black salt really doesn't work too well in these matters. I don't know why. Could just be me, I don't know. But that is a weird issue. That's one I'd have to think about. Violet Star, I really would, because that is an interesting issue. I've ticked off a lot of people. I don't think I've ever had that one happen. So how can you evoke a spirit that you can feel energetically, but you don't know their name? Honestly, finding their name is going to be the only way you're going to really be able to target it. You could meditate and reach out to them and try to talk to them without evoking them, by focusing on that energy pattern that you're feeling in order to make a connection with them, talk to them, and get their name. But outside that, there's something called blind evocation, but it doesn't allow you to focus on a spirit. It does not allow you to pick a specific spirit, so that's not really going to help here. And outside blind evocation, you really need some way to lock on and identify that spirit. Let's see. Christian. Tyler, as a singular book, not really. I've heard Asimov Mason has some really good literature on him. I've not read her literature on him specifically. I think it might be called Rights of Lucifer, might be the book people's mentioned. I've not read it. Her other works, like on the Cliff Off and stuff, I really enjoyed. That's why I go that way with not saying it. But yeah, that's really a hard one. I've worked with him so much, and I'll be honest with you, most of the literature I have overlaps Christianity in some shape, form, or fashion. So that compared to like Dead Sea Scroll translations, and actually working directly with him to sort out how many of the stories are true, just misinterpreted, and working with him directly and getting to know him one on one as a person. That's kind of where a good chunk of mine has come from. Which over the years, my favorite practice is to get to know them one on one, and just I don't really worry too much about books anymore. Um, but I would have to actually do some digging and see if I can find you a book on that, Taylor. I am wanting to potentially do some more work on Lucifer for the channel. And as part of that, I am hoping to find some literature, but at this time, I currently do not. I apologize. Well, that's one of the things we will be covering in that class. But first off, you have to understand that the study of metaphysics is a philosophy, it's not a science. And to manipulate and utilize and claim it is a science and attempt to use scientific terms and 99% of the time misuse a scientific term is literally to lie to an individual and mislead them. And that is very dangerous. And that's something that has always rubbed me wrong. um, and quantum physics is a perfect example of this. There are a lot of people out there who call themselves quantum mystics, and they want to quote quantum physics and say magic and science are the same. They are not. And you can tell this by how they use the word quantum. They don't even understand the base definition of quantum, much less the ability to call themselves quantum mystics, which we will be covering a lot of these terms, how they're used philosophically in magic, and how they're used and their true meaning in science, and why they do not align. Um, and that's one of the things. You can use something as an analogy or an allegory, but that doesn't make it a literal meaning. And philosophy and science are not the same. No matter how much we may want them to be. Just like religion or spirituality and science are not the same. Religion and spirituality are more philosophy than science. Uh, but yeah, we ain't got time to go into that rabbit hole here tonight. But that's a summary of it. So I've been working with 72 angels of power and specimen body films. Do I know that I've made contact with them or any entity in the particular? Oscar, you're going to have to develop your arcane senses. If your arcane senses are developed, then you'll have no questions asked because you're going to know they're there. You're going to be able to see them. You're going to be able to hear them. And even if your touch is actually developed, you should be able to feel them to some extent at the very least. Arcane senses is the only way. Otherwise, you're just going to have to go on faith, which some people do. There's a lot of people who get a lot of great success by going on faith and just following the material and assuming it worked. I'm not a fan of that method. I'm not. I'm personally not a fan of that method. But to each their own. So if you want to be sure, you're going to need to develop those arcane senses to the point you can reliably trust them. And that's how I do it. Let's see. Oh, crap. We jumped. Man, we're already busy tonight. Look at that. Can a spirit entity talk in 2 locations? Yeah, easily. Body location, trial location, 1,000 location. That is nothing but spirit entity. Hey, Komodo, man, it has been a while. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Let's see. See, Horned God of Witches by Jason Mankey has some stuff on Lucifer. It's on Scribed, which is excellent for finding witchy books. Thank you, Aylin. Thank you. Yeah, if anyone has any good books that you would personally recommend? I know I can't say I recommend them, but if you all have found a good book on Lucifer and you want to help our buddy here, Taylor, out, go ahead and chime in there because, hey, um, in my experience, you don't know if it's a good book until you pick it up. And what's a good book for one person may not actually be a good book for another person. There's a lot of books that I'd probably find them better as firewood than anything on my bookshelf. Don't get me wrong, I don't burn books. I always donate them or something. But to another person, it's exactly what they need with those entities or that working. We're not all the same. We are not all the same. So yeah, by all means, if you have a book that you might recommend, give that one give it up. Let them know. See, one of my or see, dimension is one of my biggies for head desking and how it's rigorously used in spiritual. Yeah, quantum has absolutely jack shit to do with dimensions. It really does. And that's one of the things they want to claim is full-on science. And it isn't. And this is it's one of the things. I love science. I love magic. Are they the same? No. Do I think that the scientific method could be applied in some ways, not exactly to magic? Yes. Which that's something we're wanting to go into in the journal class. They're not perfectly aligned, so you can't perfectly parallel them and say they're the same. But you could utilize them in collecting data in a similar way, not a guaranteed, not necessarily empirical data style way, which is one of the things, as you know, it's one of the things I've done most of my career now and continue to do. And I continue to try and share these methods as much as I can, of course, in hopes that we can further develop them as we all move forward. But one of the first and massive hurdles we have to get over is this concept of people trying to shield occult practices, spirituality, and magic as if science and it are the same thing, and as if some of these lesser understood sciences like quantum physics and the like are the study of magic when they're not. And if you actually take time to study them and understand what's actually being talked about and what it proves and what it doesn't prove, is a drastically huge difference. And also, it gets dangerous when you confuse the two. It gets literally dangerous. There's people who, due to bad advice or stupidity, have done things that got them hurt. I don't like bad science. I don't like bad occult. I don't like bad religion. Well, okay, I like the band bad religion. That's different. That's different. When it comes to spiritual healers, I've mentioned on here why I absolutely do not trust them. I don't trust them with a stuffed animal, much less my life or the life of someone I cared about, period. So things like that. So we will be discussing those in how to break it down for your individual practice in that workshop. And hopefully this workshop goes well through not only the be able to live stream it with the people who sign up, but the ability to have a replay for them. We're going to be working through some bugs on this one first. We've run some test runs on it, so hopefully most of the bugs are out. But as you all have seen in these live streams alone, there's been a bug or two that snuck past the radar, but you know how that gets. SW, why don't I trust spiritual healers? Well, okay. I'll be honest with you. Out of the more than 20 spiritual healers who have told me I am healed, I'm still epileptic, and at least 6 of them damn near got me killed because of their stupidity. This is Christian healers, this is pagan healers, this is Reiki healers. There is a wide variety of mix. And not a one of them actually did what they said they did, and when it didn't work, I was to blame. Yeah, they blamed me for it. Now, mind you, they got the payday, and they walked away smiling, and just left me holding the same bag and feeling dumber than I was the day before. End of story. Do I believe Reiki and other things can help? Yes. Hell, I got my Reiki master's in order to study Reiki and to better understand it. I still will not ever make the claim that it replaces modern medicine, true medicine, and doctors. It does not. And to make such a blind claim is dangerous. I have seen idiots actually suggest implanting crystals under the skin. I've seen people make some of the most dangerous claims. I know someone who actually advised an individual to eat salad containing, well, it's deadly nightshade. That's what it was. And the proportions were not medical, the proportions were not scientific, and the proportions were toxic. And had someone not intervened, that individual would have done that, and they would be 6 foot under in a pine box right now. Luckily, I think it was his grandmother is the one who saw what he was doing, and she recognized the herb and the plant, and she stopped him. And after talking to a doctor, it was made very clear half of that would have killed him. So, yeah, no, I don't trust them. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are spiritual healers out there who they use it in conjunction with modern medicine, and they are honest about the limitations of their practice. I get that, and I respect those. But at the same time, there is a massive, if not the majority, are actually peddling it in a way that is dangerous, even cultish. And there's a reason I have a Reiki's master's, but I will never teach nor start a Reiki practice. There's too many people out there that are utilizing it as a scam. And that's the same reason I also constantly say magic can help us and aid us in healing, but it should never replace a doctor. We've got to use common sense here. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. Can magic halt the aging process? No, honestly, healthy living, diet, and stuff like that might be able to. Magic in itself might be able to assist in it, but it would only help in keeping a youthful look. It wouldn't stop you from actually aging. Eventually, your body's going to just die. You'd die looking good, but you would still die. You won't be immortal, if that's what you're saying. Does that make sense? For example, you look at me and my wife, she looks considerably younger than me. I'm not going to give her age because she's in the house and she may come down here and throw something at me. But you look at me and her, we're actually right in the same age category by a few months or what. But to look at us, you would think I was twice her age. I've done stupid stuff. But she's also just one of these people that she just naturally, no matter what she does, she looks young. In fact, at work, they half the time they don't believe how old she actually is. They think she's, I think they guess her usually in her 20s. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the visual appearance could be slowed, not halted, slowed. But your body still has an expiration date. We all do. In fact, the one thing we're all guaranteed and entitled to in life for absolute certain is death. No matter what you do, you're always entitled to death. So that's fun. Let's see, Maria, what's the most important lesson you've learned? Ooh, that's a tricky one. Okay, you really want the honest truth of this, Maria? If I thought about this and I looked across my career, the single most important lesson I've learned in Magick, ironically, is also the single most important lesson that I think Magick has taught me that helped me in life overall. So that's the reason I hold this so valuable. And I've had so many students roll their eyes at me when I say this, but come back to me later and be like, oh my God, you're right. And that is self-accountability, self-responsibility. Those two things, hands down, both in life and magic, no matter what, if you embrace those two concepts, those are going to supercharge your path to self-empowerment um, and self-mastery to a way that no other technique, no other lesson I've ever come across can possibly do. Now, the reason people don't like this is that means you have to be your harshest critic, and you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be willing to yell at yourself, and you have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, Drake, you're a dumbass. Why did you do that? And everybody's like, you shouldn't put yourself down. Look, we're going to talk to ourselves differently. Okay, I call myself a dumbass. But I do it in love of myself because I am trying to talk to myself to say, this is what happened. This event happened for a fact. Okay, this event happened. This is what I did. This is what I didn't do. These are the factors I can control. These are the factors I can't control. And if I am absolutely 100% honest with all these things, and I can identify what I did well and what I did poorly or completely just wrong, Drake was a moron on that one, then I can work to do better tomorrow on those exact things, making me a better person and moving me forward into self-mastery and self-empowerment. And as we do this, we quickly realize that this also pushes us to mastering our individual life as well as the environment around us. This is not popular because that means forget peer pressure. You can't go with peer pressure. It also takes away your right to make excuses for, anything. Um, I used to blame my siblings. I used to blame my parents. I used to blame my hometown. I used to blame a lot of things for a lot of stupid stuff. Um, and not to say that any of those things helped me, but at the end of the day, all those things were as they were, and there was always something I could do about it. Even if it was just making a choice not to listen to my stupid brother, talk me into doing something stupid again, or not listen to my sister, talk me into doing something that's going to get me in trouble while she didn't. Um, or look around my hometown and see how screwed up things were there and tell myself, you know what? I can do better. Um, there's always a way that we can look at ourselves to do better. Even in the worst of circumstances, there's something we can look at. And that form of accountability and responsibility, my God, um, it's harsh at times, um, but it's also hands down the heaviest and most important lesson I've learned in my years. And I wish I had learned it much, much younger. Because had I learned it much younger, I'm pretty sure I'd be retired right now on a beach with a margarita and not having to worry about a thing. If I just learned that one thing, just that one thing. Now I sound like Curly from City Slickers, that one thing. And I just aged myself because some of you probably don't even know what that movie is. Great movie. If you ain't seen it, watch it. Yeah, like I said, it's helped me in life and magic both. That's why I think it's so valuable. Even if you don't practice magic, that one thing, if you just apply it to your life, it's amazing how much it'll transform your entire process. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Justin, demons are not evil, my friend. That is a dogmatic viewpoint, but you're welcome to your view. We're welcome to our view. So just don't come in here spouting dogma. Um, and if you're this great sage that you're claiming, Justin, you'll also know that there's never any end to the things to learn. Anyone who claims to be a master and have learned it all, they are the biggest fool of them all. There's never an end to the things to learn, which is actually why I'm so excited with what I do. I love to learn. Um, that would be a fate worse than death to me, is to truly run out of new things, new experiences, new opportunities to learn. That is truly a fate worse than death. So I am very grateful that that will never happen. Also, owning up to your mistakes and admitting you are wrong. Indeed, Maria, indeed. Let's see, Komodo, I also have a question. I think you mentioned in a prior video that dragons haven't used physical forms for thousands of years. Have you heard anything of when dragons have been physically present? Um, I mean, I've heard bits and pieces as far as if you're asking like a timeline or something that I haven't nailed down. And a large part of that is because it would be actually when the Earth was too primal for um, what we think human life might require. Though, I mean, primitive humans might have been able to make it, and it would have been very small dragons at that if that was the case. Since it's been so far back in the timeline, I really haven't come out. And the main reason is I'm a big believer in look forward, not backward. What's back there is back there. And if you spend too much time living in the past, you're never going to move forward. I know there's a lot of people who's going to disagree with that statement, but I do. So I actually try to focus directly on the forward-looking direction. Um, in my free time, I like to look into things like that, but free time's a rarity in the path of self-mastery. So yeah, hope that helps you out a little bit. I know a few people who's made questions and comments about whether the Jurassic periods and the dinosaur periods and all those, if that had anything to do with dragons. To the best of my knowledge, it does not. That's to the best of my knowledge. They seem to be very, very, very different creatures altogether. And we seem to be learning more and more about them. Um, I mean, when I grew up, they were leathery creatures, and now we're finding hard archaeological evidence that many of them may have even had feathers, which to me is fascinating. That's what I love about getting more and more data and learning. We're constantly learning about the fossil record. So it's pretty cool. Um, I would hope one day that I might be able to get to the point in my life where I do have the time to look back and attempt to try and sort through and piece that together better. Um, but at this point in time, that's just not it. I'm a busy little beaver. Good question, though, Komodo. House of Tarot, welcome. Years and always more to learn. Amen. Amen, Elena. 25 years and always more to learn. Always. Um, let's see. If I'm drinking more coffee tonight, I apologize. I'm really parched. It has been hot today. And I've even been chugging water like it's going out of style. Let's see. I've been doing this. A preferred method of magical offense when something or someone needs to be put right or stopped. Preferred. Mm, not really. I'm I'm of a school of utility and versatility. I believe that a broad understanding can actually be a greater utensil. So I tend to approach the issue with what the issue would best be the solution to the problem. Um, and you can actually look at this in terms of physical self defense as well. There are plenty of people who just standing here drawing a line in the sand and standing up to them is going to send them running like a scared chihuahua. There's going to be other people, yeah, going to have to contact fist to face. Um, and then there's other people, other dangers where you may have to go to some form of weaponry or whatnot, depending in order to defend yourself and your family. There are varying degrees. There's not one singular solution, and it depends on the situation. And I truly believe any good practitioner or mage worth their salt will understand the varying degrees, will have a skill set in those varying degrees that they will be reliable methods and that they will apply them wisely. That's my personal opinion there. Um, and it also makes variety the spice of life. Because I'll be honest with you, if you overly focus, you're also easily to defend against. Let's see. Hope that helps you, Will. But all in all, offensive magic is actually really needed. Really needed would be the better way to state that. And we jumped. Crap, we jumped big time. Okay. Sorry about that, people. We jumped. What is your favorite holistic sphere and why? Tell me what you experienced in that specific sphere. Kabbalistic. I'll be honest with you. It's been so long since I've worked Kabbalistic specifically that I would have to pull out my notes, mate, on that one. And yeah, I'd have to pull out my notes on that because it has been a long time. I want to revisit the Trail Life. I want to work back through it, and see if I can think of what my. I really can't think of that one massive thing that pops out right now at this time. I do apologize, mate. So I have a question. Last full moon, I forgot to put out water for moon water. Had the idea of collecting from a local stream that following morning, but would it still be as effective? Okay, Taylor, this is actually going to be one of those kind of tradition variant kind of things because technically speaking, if you collect water that has been exposed to the lunar energies of the moon during the full moon, um, this is going to be heavily debated. Would I say a stream the morning of still would be exposed to it, considering how powerful the moon's effects on our tides are? I would say yes. Um, and would it be as effective as a tiny jar stuck in the moon out in your yard? I would say yes to that. And in fact, some people would even say it would be better than the jar in the yard because during the entire full moon, the river is exposed not only to the moon, but it's exposed to many, many, many other things as well, further gathering those energies, rocks, minerals, earth, the fish, the life forms and how they react to the moon, all those things. Some traditions would say no, it contaminates it because of the motion or the life, or different traditions are going to handle that very differently and view that very differently. Since I don't really look at it as spiritual and more magical, I would have no issue gathering moon water from that river that next day. Though I would say you should probably do it before noon because that's when the sun's going to hit its peak, and you don't want to counter contaminate the water with a different that energy, for example. Um, that's one reason you usually keep your moon water covered is to not expose it to sunlight. But otherwise, I wouldn't have any issues with it if you use moon water in your particular practice. Let's see. Kevin, even the gods themselves are. Yes, they are actually. Very good. Very good. That is absolutely true. Let's see. Komodo, understood. Thanks for answering my question. Great to hear your perspective. No problem, Komodo. I do my best. I don't know it all. I try to answer where I can and do my best. And well, as y'all know, I'm still doing my bit to do the best I can and learn as well. So let's see. Do you think the entities at Skinwalker Ranch are spirits? Oscar, man, I'll be honest. I'm wanting to start doing a cryptid series on here, and that's one of the places I have had the privilege of going, investigating, and spending some time. And I can honestly say there's some weird stuff happening out there. Did any of the data I collect reach a point where statistically on data I would be willing to give my 2 cents? No. Can I honestly say that why there's some weird crap happened? Oh yeah, that I can say. But then you ask, do I think they're spirits? And this is a hard one for me because I'm a very data-driven person. You all know this, and I try not to let my personal thoughts overlap often. Um, but I'll tell you what I'll do, Oscar. What I saw out there, if I was to compare it to other things that I saw in other locations that I have a strong reason to believe certain things, I would say that it is very likely that there's the potential that what's out there is either spirits, like human spirits, or is a form of land spirit. Um, and my current belief actually leans a bit more to the land spirit side than the human spirit side based on some of the things we've seen. But as far as this is what I'm saying it is, I don't have the data and I'm not willing to do that just yet. And I'm hoping to get back out there to get better information. Of course, as you know, gas prices, travel, everything's just been crazy lately. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I am hoping to be able to share some of my cryptid research notes and everything on the channel. I just got to start. My notes are chaotic. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm going to have to organize those so that when I shoot the video, it's not a whole bunch of me looking at my notes going, and then yeah, this happened. That's not interesting. So I'm going to have to make it flow better. Believe me, editing makes me look better than I do filming. There's a lot of because when I'm talking to you all, I don't know if you notice, I tend to look here. This is where the chat log is. I don't look here because this is where the camera is. And if I look at a camera, I think of the camera. But if I look at you all, it's like I'm talking to you all. And that helps me get past my camera fright just a little bit there. What do ghost orbs look like? What shape is that? Well, to be honest with you, most of them look like specks of dust on a camera lens that is causing a flare. That said, other orbs that could actually be quantified as a potential ghost orb, they come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. There's no singular or specific. They're just not that uniform. Let's see. That's okay. Actually, Floros, I'm not to that. I particularly spent a lot of time with Asatera. I apologize. Do you think it's possible for an astral being to be physical and exist on the material plane? I'll be honest with you, Adam. To all my research and everything I've seen, no, I do not think that is possible because it would need a physical substance or something to actually be here. That requires a physical vessel, that requires a physical thing, and they just are not physical. Even if they manifest, they're still not physical. Even when we evoke them, they're not physical. And finding that medium for them to inhabit would be near impossible. Free will itself. I mean, so I personally do not know. I know there's plenty of people out there who's going to disagree with me, but yes, my 2 cents. So that's my 2 cents, mate. Are vampires real? That's a big one, Maria. If you're asking about Count Dracula, immortal vampires, the walking undead, the blood sucking, the blah blah blah, no, they're not real. If you're talking about normal human beings who have what is essentially an energetic deficiency in which their body does not generate enough energy to meet their own normal human needs the way another person does, the individuals with that form of energy deficiency, do they exist? Yeah, it does appear they do. And then are we talking about the individuals who want to call themselves vampires as an archetype and embrace it as an archetype in order to use in rituals that has nothing to do with draining energy, has nothing to do with blood, has nothing to do with any of that. Some people may refer to it as role play or cosplay, but they're embracing it for a ritual archetype. Those exist. And then do you have the more dangerous ones who embrace the archetype for, let's say, edgelord stupid reasons? Unfortunately, yes, they exist too. And they give all the other ones a bad name. But as far as the immortal blah, blah, blahs, no, they don't. Sorry. Be kind of cool, though. Oh, Anthony, that's a whole big giant shebang. One of the best books for that particular one I could actually recommend might be The Psychic Vampire Codex by Michelle Belanger, I think is her last name. Belanger, yeah, something like that. She does one of the best jobs of laying it out and helping to understand it granted, it is kind of more of a tradition view of her practice and her working with different individuals who are in the vampire community. Um, but she does the best job of laying it out in a single source. And it's not something that you can just easily diagnose and say, I got this. So it's a whole kerbuckle. That's the reason you don't hear me talk about vampire much on this channel. It can trigger a lot of folks. It starts fights. So many people have so many heated opinions about it. I mean, I got emails last week of someone telling me they're 4,000 years old. They've been alive since this. And it's like, dude, I used to be an investigator. Your birth certificate says you were born in Iowa in 2005. So, yeah. You can see why it's a topic I tend to avoid. It's just like, oy. There's so much other important things in the world. So, Taylor, am I open to questions outside the live chat? You can join the Gilded community and you can message me directly or you can email me. The Gilded community is the best way to get a hold of me because things get lost in the shuffle of stupidity. Most of the people who want to harass or send some crazy emails, they tend to find my email address. So that is a lot of stuff can get lost in that shuffle there. The Gilded community tends to be the better way to reach me. And Jade there put the link. I am open to questions. Do be aware, depending on what kind of controversy it is or whatnot. I may preface my response to it, and in some cases, I may even tell you this is something I won't comment on, especially if it's within the political realm, because politics gets crazy. I don't do politics for so many reasons. And oftentimes there's no right or wrong answer. It's just people are going to just flip their lid. I try as often as I can to be fair when it comes to speaking on traditions or religions, because y'all know, as long as you aren't out there decapitating people or throwing off other people off buildings for their beliefs, by and large, you do you. But if your religion preaches hate, I ain't got no time for your business for you. In general, even if your personal beliefs deal with hate or something, I ain't got time for you. So, just my 2 cents on that. But otherwise, yeah, I'd be willing to hear you out and at the very least, and give you what best I can. Well, there is a lot of controversy on God spousing. God spousing is not exactly what most people think it is. Okay, first off, technically speaking, God spousing is more of a dedication, a very, very deep dedication to a individual deity, or in some cases, deities. However, in no shape, form, or fashion is this deity actually committing to you as its one and only. Spiritual entities do not do monogamy. It ain't going to happen. It also isn't going to have this entity show up in the physical and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It ain't going to be your spiritual, godly hookup. But it is a deeper connection and commitment, which comes with a lot of baggage. It also doesn't get you special treatment. In fact, if anything, it gives you more work, not special treatment, because this God will expect more of you. Now, that said, there are a lot of people who are taking this as kind of almost an anime fictional. This God dedicated themselves to me. We married. We're lovers. They're my one and only, and it gets weird. And like when I say weird, I mean weirder than like blow up doll weird. It gets weirder than that, and to me, that's already weird. So, it is a sketchy topic. There's a lot of people who want to make fun of this form of dedication. There's a lot of people who want to almost replace reality with this form of dedication. And you're missing the point. because no matter what you do, you're supposed to live in this world. You're supposed to embrace this world. You're supposed to understand this world, and you're supposed to experience it. Which, if you spend your life avoiding this world and all it has to do, you can't really do that. But again, to each their own. And even for those who honestly go a little far with that ideology, if they're not hurting another person and hopefully not themselves, and they're living their best life and they're actually functional in the really real world, you do you. Key word is they have to remain functional in the really real world. If what you're doing doesn't allow you to function in the real world, in my mind, you're doing it wrong, because we're here to function in the real world. This is our classroom, people. We are here to learn and experience. And if you ain't showing up to class, you're already failing. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that answers it to some extent. I know there's, I kind of have to weave around certain topics, whatnot there, Tyler. Hopefully that answers a little bit there. And you could view a nun's dedication in a similar way. You could, because it is a deep dedication where essentially they're giving their lives, their everything to that particular practice. So you could view that as a form of God's spousing. You definitely could. I mean, you could view it that way, and that's not a bad analogy. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to be chaste. Is that the word I'm looking for? Doesn't mean you have to forego the yeah. You don't have to do that, but I mean, I guess in different traditions you might, because again, different traditions and belief systems are going to handle things slightly different, and you got to respect that. But for an individual practitioner who doesn't particularly belong to a set tradition, you're going to have to make those decisions for yourself. Hope that helps a little bit. So, let's see. Also, taking notes of your statement mentioning cryptids. Interesting to hear that you as well seem to have gathered notes on that subject. I'd definitely be interested to hear what you've gathered. Yeah, we're running through some tests because I think you all have gathered by now that I do my best when I'm able to just turn on the camera and talk. Any video where I have notes, I hate it because I feel like I'm breaking eye contact when I'm looking at my notes, and I hate that. It's a personal beef with me. So far, I've never had any of you complain. In fact, usually those are the videos you're like, great job, Drake, which thank you for the compliment, by the way. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to do this. One person actually said I should take the notes, turn it into a script where I actually kind of put an image up instead of me being here like I am normally. Maybe put some images of woods and whatnot where I'm telling the story of our investigation more, almost as if you're along with the investigation for us, or with us, not for us, with us. That would definitely be a new feel for the channel. I don't know how well it would work. What do y'all think? Would you rather me just read off the notes, or would you rather me tell the story like you're there with us? While y'all are here and we're talking about it, do you think one format or the other you would like better? Let's see. New shirt in the shop. Oh, God. Oh, that reminds me. We did add the life moves at Mock Screw You shirt and coffee cup, as you all requested last week. We did add that to the shop. So if you go below and click on the merch tab, you will actually be able to find the new coffee cup and the new shirt, life moves at Mock Screw You. Those are in the shop. And actually, I'm wanting to go ahead and order me one of those coffee cups. I think it turned out remarkable. So if you are interested in those, go ahead. And our own Halloween, the Chaos Squirrel herself has actually been working on a few ideas for the shop. One of the designs, I really love this one, is actually a design of the arcane pillars, the foundation, and everything. I thought that one was really cool. So I'm going to actually work on getting some of her things added to the shop because she came up with some great ideas. The blow up doll, as funny as that is, and I may actually consider it. My first knee jerk reaction is we might not should push that button, but the rest of me is like, oh, we should push that button. Anthony, I'm kind of with you on that. We'll see how that one goes, man. Always a creature. I don't know about always, but thank you, Jedi. All the time, Maria. All the time. I get hate mail from the pagan community practically daily. Um, whether it's upset that I am so openly teaching, that I'm so willing to openly discuss this, the fact that I don't do spiritual or religion, that I prefer to focus on data and manifestation and results. Um, People make fun of my accent. People call me a fat ass. And those are the nice things they say. Uh, so every day, every day. But here's the thing. What they say to me is more of a mirror on them because at the end of the day, nothing they do or say has jack squat to do with what I do in life. My life, my bills, the house over my head, my loving wife, my chaotic daughters. Those are the things that speak well of me, and those are the things I care about. I'll be honest with you, most of these people who email me this crap, truth be told, I read their emails while drinking my coffee in the morning and getting kind of a giggle. Um, haters going to hate. Yeah, exactly, Jedi. Haters going to hate. We got to do what we do for us first and foremost, and we have to believe in that. And other people's opinions really don't amount to 2 cents or a hill of beans. Um, I started this channel as an attempt to reach out and help other people because I believed in what I do. I believed in what I've managed to teach others, and I wanted to try and reach more. Now, did I think me personally could actually make it on the YouTube? No, I didn't. I didn't think a lot of people would want to hear some crazy Southern mage ramble on about his experiences, his thoughts, his theories, or what he's had work or not work. To my absolute delight, I was wrong, and I have found that there's a lot of people out there. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people who the way I present things in my southernisms and my simplicity and trying to bullet down to basics has helped more people in the last 2 years than I could have originally hoped to reach in 10 years. All because I didn't take the time to listen to other people and what they said I could or could not do, but what I wanted to try and do. And in that, I found a community of wonderful people, because I started this channel. I started doing videos. You guys can go back, watch the first videos. You'll see how terrified of the camera I am. I'm practically petrified and frozen. And the comments I was getting, the emails of thanks, in the comments of thanks, that gave me the courage to step out and start doing live streams to where I could actually, converse with you in real time and attempt to answer your questions. So yeah, I catch a lot of flack, Maria, but remember, they're going to say what they say. We got to do what we're going to do. At the end of the day, when we lay our heads down, nothing other people does is going to bother us. When we lay our heads down at night, we got to be able to sleep and we got to feel right with ourselves. You know what I mean? And as long as I do the best I can every day and I work every day to be the best Drake that I can be, which kind of goes back to that self-responsibility and accountability thing we talked about earlier, that most important lesson I learned. Every night I lay my head down, I can sleep well knowing I did that. I did that. And if I do that every day, I'm freaking awesome. You know what I mean? And I would encourage all of you to go out there and be freaking awesome just like that. That's a great spot to listen to end this. And Jade is already throwing clocks at me, which it's actually 8 o'clock on the spot. You had that ready to throw, Jade. I see. I know what you're doing there, Jade. You had that ready to throw. All right, everyone, we are going to get off here. We do have a new video coming. I know a lot of you loved the Magical Properties of Whiskey video. I am so happy that you did. That was a lot of fun to do. And for those asking, yes, we actually do already have more of those in the works. In fact, we have the Magical Properties of Rum coming up because it's me. Did you think I wouldn't do rum? I had a lot of people who asked about vodka. I'm not a big vodka drinker, but hey, you know what? I got a lot of friends who love their vodka and cranberries and the like. So we will be doing vodka. I actually have a plan to go down an entire list of the most common alcohols and spirits and beer. We're not going to leave out beer. And talk about the magical properties of each because you know what? We're going to have some fun on this channel. We're going to take our kitchen witchery area into areas most people don't go. And no one wants to talk about alcohol. Why don't we want to talk about alcohol? We get to drink because we're freaking adults and we have to adult. So by God, let's talk about how we can use that adulting in our magic. What do you say? Sound good? That's what we're going to do. All right. As to whether or not we'll ever do cocktails, I don't know. We'll see about that. We might do cocktails. I will admit, someone pitched an idea about home oaking and how you can utilize that in rooms in your magic, and I admit that was kind of an interesting topic. I might do a video on that because that was pretty cool. All right, everyone, you have a wait. What? How can I send you some rum from my end of the world? You know what? Join up on the Gilded, and I will have to look into figuring that out because I'd have to get a PO box or something. We really don't. I don't give my home address out for obvious reasons. People get cray. But if I can get a PO box or some kind of shipping address, we might be able to make that happen. I don't know what the legalities are on that one. I'll be honest. Although just the sentiment alone just warms my little pirate heart. I love it. That is so sweet. I appreciate that. So join the Gilded. Say hi. Let me know who you are, Chili, and we'll see if we can sort that because I love rum. So yeah. All right. Everyone, you have a fantastic week. And since, it was a great week, actually might need to make this a shirt. Go out there, focus on you, focus on self-mastery, focus on self-empowerment, embrace in full self-accountability, self-responsibility, and go out there and be awesome, okay? Get out there and be awesome. And I will see you all next Sunday for the next Magickal Coffee Hour. Take care. Good night.